Hello everybody, how are we? Great, I see so many smiling faces. So, what if I told you there's a simple way for addressing three of the largest healthcare epidemics in the West today? I'd like to share with you a method for improving mental health, obesity, and loneliness. One you can do anywhere and costs nothing. I'm going to tell you how I came across it, how it works, and how it can work for you. I'm a psychotherapist, and like a lot of people, I've had a life full of twists and turns. I grew up in a fairly dysfunctional family, and as the eldest son, I took on the roles of peacekeeper and protector, roles which called for a constant assessment of other people's feelings. What it didn't leave me with was a great way to assess my own feelings, and in 2006, I had a meltdown. Like a lot of depressed people, I felt ashamed of the state I was in and ashamed of my inability to get out of it. But I knew that in the end it would come down to me to get myself out of the situation, to make a change, and I took up two things that I felt would help address my mental health and my physical health. I took up psychotherapy and running. Psychotherapy was unquestionably helpful. It felt important, it was comforting, but it didn't feel like it was enough, and it wasn't happening fast enough for me. Running, on the other hand, was a real challenge. I was, amongst other things, a pretty serious smoker and drinker. Yeah, it wasn't easy. So I rang up a friend, and together we agreed to meet in Hyde Park in London, near where I live. In its centre is a lake called the Serpentine, and it was there that my recovery really began. So two friends meet in a park changes everything. Well, actually, going to that park and meeting my friend gave me a sense of purpose. It gave me a sense of achievement, and to a depressed person, that is the beginning of hope. I found that as we went for those runs, it wasn't just the fresh air and the sense of achievement that was helping. It was a lot more than that. There was an ease to the way we were able to talk. I found our conversations flowed freely, and yet were strangely focused. And I found that we were tapping into the very things that made me most nervous, the very things that made me the things I've been avoiding most of my life. A year later, I decided to train to be a therapist myself. And over the next 5 years, I made it my mission to try to combine everything that I'd learned about running with everything I was learning about psychotherapy. Looking at the medicine, looking at the science, it became clear why running was so effective. I read about our history as persistence hunters, working to track together and exhaust prey. I read about phytoncides that come from the plants and the trees that boost our immune systems. And I read about green spaces, of course, that help reduce our blood pressure and stress level. Fast forward to now, and I would say I've been a running therapist for 6 years. And in that time, I've learned there's a lot I can discover about my clients just from the way they move. For instance, I've seen that those in a rush in life often run leaning forward, as though in a rush, on the run from someplace in the past or trying to get to someplace in the future. Together, we experiment with what it's like to slow down, to spend time in the here and now. And I've also seen how movement helps bring up feelings from far below, allowing us to better identify and express what's going on deep within. I've learned from my clients that change is strangely counterintuitive. For instance, as the great American psychologist Carl Rogers said, the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. And I've seen how running is symbolic of the choices that we make in life. It's about deciding that today I'm going to get from here to there, even if I'm not sure how. Now I'd like to tell you a simple method how you can try this yourself, using something I call empathy runs, or if you prefer, you can do them as empathy walks. It works just as well. First, and this is important, find somebody you trust and like. Arrange to meet in a park and decide who goes first as the talker and who is the listener. What you share about as the talker is up to you, but a good guide is just to relax and trust in your instinct. At the end, the listener is going to repeat back a very brief summary of everything that they've heard. So listening closely is critical. And then you swap at the end. Again, it sounds quite simplistic, but in fact, it's a very moving and profoundly human experience. It's also a practice you can do with anyone you're struggling to communicate with, such as loved ones, siblings, work colleagues. It's a great way to reach out to family members or friends who you're having a hard time getting through to, or who you can see are in distress. So why does this practice work so well? Why is it so healing? Ask yourself when you last got to spend 10 minutes talking uninterrupted. This method works because the person who listens to you hears you just as you are, mad, bad, angry, or sad. They have chosen to spend a moment with you free of judgment. They don't bring answers, they bring community. Now I'd like you to spend one moment, just to consider if there's something you might bring on an empathy run or walk. Perhaps it's something that you've been carrying for a while. Perhaps it's some part of yourself that you have a hard time accepting. Perhaps it's a fear or a need that you've never shared with anyone. I want you to imagine what it would be like just to loosen your grip on it, to let go of that need to manage it, to conceal it from others, all that energy spent doing that. My advice is to take it out of the darkness and bring it into the light. Why? Because everybody has a thing. This particular thing may be your thing. No matter what you feel like you've done in life, or no matter what you fear you are inside, or who you fear you may be, that fear is always worse than the reality. Finally, I'd like to dedicate this talk to all the people who are struggling to get moving again. However stuck you feel, if you just put one foot in front of the other and keep moving, things will change, things will get better. Thank you.